Hi, it's Brett the Lab Tech here. I'm here in the labs at PCC Cascade to show you how to dissect an owl pellet. Now, this is what the owl pellets look like when you got it from the bookstore. And normally in the lab, we would use things like a dissecting microscope and specialized dissection tools and petri dishes, but we don't expect you to have that at home. So instead, we're going to use some household items to dissect these owl pellets. So what you're going to need is some water, a spoon for the water, a knife and fork. Plastic would be ideal so that you can dispose of it. A couple of paper plates, your owl pellet, and optionally, if you have these things around your house, awesome. If you don't worry about it. Just use what you have. So if you have a magnifying glass, that might be helpful. If you don't have paper plates, but you do have like little plastic leftover containers or things like that, that could work. And probably the best tool that might be helpful, if you have some bamboo skewers, you could have like a long one or a short one, or like those little bamboo toothpicks, or even just little wooden toothpicks. Those can really help you with the dissection. So, but we're going to presume that you don't have any of that. You just have some plastic silverware and some paper plates. If you don't have paper plates, paper towel could work. Just be careful with this first step. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through the dissection and show you how it's done. So the first step, you want to unwrap your owl pellet. And these have been sterilized by heat, so they aren't going to make you sick. So that is the owl pellet. And we are going to see what this owl regurgitated. Now, these are really hard and dry and kind of crumbly at first, so we want to moisten it. But we don't want to get it too wet, so we're just going to add some water from this, using the spoon, and just kind of moisten that up. And that's probably about good. If I need a little bit more, I might add just a little bit more now. Okay. Okay. And here we can start to take it apart. And I'm just going to use the knife and fork to start to tease it apart. Might not smell very good, so hopefully you've got a face mask you can wear. Oh, and as we do this, we can start to pick out some of the bones. So there's a bone right there. I'll put that aside. Yeah, so these are sterile, so they're not going to hurt you at all. Oh, and there's another little rib bone, I think. Some of the bones are tiny, so you just want to kind of carefully go through the pellet, kind of bit by bit, to make sure that you're not missing anything. Actually, I don't think that other one was a rib bone. I think this is a rib bone now. And the skulls and jaws are going to be most informative about what kind of prey items you have. But the other bones are kind of interesting too, so we're going to try and get as many as we can of those. There's kind of a larger bone in there. I think there is. Or maybe it's just another rib. scapula. So at the end, I'll show you the bone sorting guide. Okay. Here's a nice big there. I guess the other thing I should mention, if you have forceps or tweezers at home, feel free to use them. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm going to do this the lowest possible tech way to do this. Another one. I can see a rib sticking out. A couple of ribs, maybe. And you'll want to take your time with these. It might take 5 or 10 minutes, so. Or even longer, depending on how many prey items you have and how careful you are. You just want to kind of tease things apart until there's something in there. Kind of pick away at the fur. Until you get to the bones. Sometimes it's easier to just pick them out with your fingers. Yeah, the ribs and the vertebrae are the trickiest ones to find. No, that's just fur. Okay. Okay. I'm going to call it good for, oh, actually no. Something in there. I don't think there is. Okay. Oh, there's one. That looks like a vertebra. Oh, and there's another one in there. Okay. Keep going with the rest of the pellet. Oh, there's something in there. Sometimes you'll just see the bones kind of sticking out of the pellet. Separating them from the fur is kind of the trickiest part of the whole operation, as you can see. These ribs are tiny, not really much bigger than the tiniest clumps of fur, so pretty easy to miss. And probably at the very end of this, if I go back through, I'd find even more of those ribs and maybe a few vertebrae. Oh, we're to get really, really careful. Okay. Okay, looks like we've got part of a skull here. So, the upper part of the skull, so upper jaw. And this is what's going to allow us to identify the prey species. Unfortunately, this one is not very complete. But do the best we can. Oh, and there's a rib in the orbit. Now that's what I call a ribeye. Okay. Yeah, sometimes when the owls are producing their pellets, their stomachs are so powerful that they will kind of crush the skulls. And you end up with incomplete skulls, like we have here. Which makes it a little harder to identify, but we'll do our best. Yeah, I think this is maybe a piece of the skull right there. I think that's about as much as I can get. That skull. This is where we need, and this I think is a lower jaw. Yep. So the jaws are going to be really important for identification. So we'll put that near the skull. Bit of bone that might have been part of the skull. Clean that off a little better. Put it in there. I see a rib. Oh, not a rib. Okay. as you're doing this, you'll notice the texture is different for the fur versus the bones. You can kind of hear them and feel them a little bit. There we go. There's a nice lower jaw. And over there with the other one. You can kind of see if these lower jaws, if they were from the same side or from different sides. And that can help you figure out if, in terms of the number of prey items in your pellet. You have two that are from the same side, that was two different skulls. We're only about halfway done here. The rest of this I might not be quite so careful. Trying to get every last rib. Actually, get a little more of the fur off. We do want to be particularly careful around the skulls. Try and get as much of the skull as possible. Sticking out. Looks like it's broken, but okay. This looks like maybe it's part of this skull over here. Just take your time with it. Try and do the best job you can. Sometimes you'll get a whole intact vertebral column, which is pretty neat to see. I thought I might have had one there, but nope. So many ribs. Ooh, here we go. Here we go. There's a nice skull in there. With a lower jaw. So we know that this had to be a different organism than the one we found earlier. Unless that owl was feasting on some two-headed rodents. Which is probably not too likely. doing like my best Bob Ross voice here, but I'm not making a painting. Okay. Let's get some of these bones. Here. And kind of just generally sorting them. I like leg bones versus ribs and other teeny tiny bones and skulls. I guess I've got a pile of what are probably vertebrae over here. For this other skull, it looks like the other skull still has the teeth in it, which is going to be really helpful for identification. I'm going to try and get as much fur off of this as I can. I'm not going to get every last bit of fur, but I'm going to get most of it. You can actually see.